Once feared as a superpower, the Soviet Union and its vast nuclear arsenal was viewed by much of the West as an existential threat to its way of life. But the Soviet system was slowly collapsing from within. Mikhail Gorbachev inherited a frail union with an economy drained and its military humiliated in Afghanistan. He attempted to adopt reforms known as glasnost and perestroika, signaling a new era of openness and transparency. The reforms, however, were not welcomed by all, and in 1991, hardliners from within the Communist Party and the military attempted to remove Gorbachev by force. Despite the coup being defeated, Gorbachev stepped down on Christmas Day, 1991. And the easing of the Kremlin's iron grip saw many of the USSR republics clamoring for independence. Power was handed over to the newly created Russian Federation to charismatic politician Boris Yeltsin. There was hope for a new era of democratic rule, but it would not last for long. The 1990s in Russia saw runaway corruption and a disastrous war in Chechnya. A defeated Yeltsin handed the reins of power to his chosen successor, Vladimir Putin. Putin has now been in power for more than 20 years. The former Soviet intelligence officer has never forgotten about the collapse of the Soviet Union and the demise of what he called, quote, historical Russia. At its height, the Soviet empire stretched from Lviv in Eastern Europe all the way to the Pacific Ocean. But in the wake of the USSR collapse, Putin views the sizable communities of Russian speakers and ethnic Russians in many of these former Soviet states, especially Ukraine, as belonging to the Russian Federation, a convenient pretext that many former Soviet states say has fueled Russian military aggression. The Russian leader has an ambitious plan to restore his country's former power. He rebuilt the Russian army and in 2014 invaded and annexed the Crimean Peninsula in Ukraine. He also covertly armed and supported Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine. And when Putin announced the assault on Ukraine last month, he once again made reference to the lost Soviet empire.
In the late 1980s, the Soviet Union grew weaker and subsequently broke apart. That experience should serve as a good lesson for us because it has shown us that the paralysis of power and will is the first step towards complete degradation and oblivion.
It is a vision that some suspect reflects a desire to redraw post-Soviet borders by force as Putin's army continues its assault on Ukraine. But as fighting there takes a toll on Russia's military, Putin is quickly having to confront the modern reality of a Soviet nostalgia. Oubai Shahbandar, TRT World.